Many times students like to have steps for a procedure, steps to go through so they know how to do the problem. So I'm going to give those to you here, and you'll find similar ones in the book. Okay, so step one, steps to solving a quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, step one. Set to 0. So, I mean, get one side of the equation to be 0. Now, sometimes that's a little involved. We'll have an example later on, and we'll show you how to do that. But you want your polynomial on one side equals, and then 0 on the other side. 2, factor the polynomial. Yeah, okay. So I guess up here I could write polynomial equals 0. Now I usually put my polynomial on the left, but it doesn't really matter. So then we get that polynomial on one side and we factor the polynomial. And that's what we're working on in chapter 6 is factoring. Set each factor that has a variable. I'll put a little parenthesis here. Set each factor that has, in the factor there has to be the variable someplace. Set each factor equal to 0. So individually, so if you have 5 factors, you're not going to have that many, but if you had 5 factors, you would take each factor and set them equal to 0. So you'd have 5 different equations, okay? So you take each factor and set it equal to 0. We're probably going to have either 2 or 3. Sometimes we only have 1. Just depends on the problem. Okay, so you set each factor, and the factor has to have the variable in it, equal to 0. Now, not all factors have a variable. You can have a constant factor. That'll happen on some problem that we're going to do. Okay, solve each, and they're linear equation from step 3. And then that'll give you your solutions. And then last, we write the solutions. I prefer you to write them in a set. Not all textbooks do that. A lot of them do, but write the solutions in a set. Okay, those are the steps. So you're going to get an equation. You're going to make sure one side is 0. So you're going to get everything on one side. That gives you a polynomial on one side and 0 on the other side. Then you're in step 2, you're going to factor the polynomial. Then step 3, you take each factor and set it equal to 0. And then step 4, you solve the little equations, the little baby equations, the linear equations. And then finally, you write the solutions in a set.